Hello, good evening, welcome. Loads of you are with us already. They were obviously a bit early, so I'm just going to natter at you, ask you some general questions. If you've got any questions for us, I'm going to show you how you can do that so you can interact with us a little bit today. It's not going to just be me splurting information at you. You might feel like I've just kind of overwhelmed you with information. We've only got like an hour or so. I'm going to give you as much useful information during that time as I can. So, hello. I'm Rich. I'm going to be running the webinar today, and some of you are probably going to know who I am. Some of you don't. So I'm going to just launch a couple of polls and show you. So first of all, there's going to be a little question mark somewhere, depending on what device you're using, what platform you're in, what browser. But generally speaking, there's going to be a question mark somewhere. You can click on that question mark and you can ask us questions. I'm also going to be asking you some questions. So that's where I want you to be typing those replies as well. So find that questions panel and basically get involved, say hello, let me know where in the country you are, let me know what the weather's doing, let me know deep and personal secrets. No, that's all right. I don't need to know any of that kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm also going to be chucking some questions at you like this. So I'm going to throw one at you right now. So let's just say, what year are you in? Are you in year 12 or year 13? We've got like plenty of people in here to get a decent result to this. Oh, my poll screen's over here. So I've got two monitors today. I'm just going to be... Okay, so how many of you have voted? 7% of you have voted. That is not a representative sample size. Let's make that a little bit more. All you got to do is click a button. Which year are you in? I'd just be interested to see. Most of you, I'm guessing, going to be A2 students, generally a bit more motivated than AS students at this point of the year. We're at 60% of you in the room have voted. I like to get over 80%. I mean, I'm just a weirdo for getting reliable data, but that's what the biologist in me is. Okay, so this is not the mega most important poll, but I'm going to show you that. So we got ish 2/3, 1/3 as a rough first approximation. So that's just kind of, so there'll be all sorts of little bits and pieces like this. I'll be chucking in, how do we know whether our screen is being shared or not? None of your screens are going to be shared. None of your webcams are going to be on. None of your microphones are going to be on, unless something comes up and one of you is burning to ask a question and you want to do that audio and not text, then you can possibly, I can turn your microphone on, but your screen is not going to be presented at all. Hello, Tamzin. Hello, KK. So yeah, say hello, let me know where you are, find that questions panel because we've got a few minutes before we're going to be getting going. Loads of you are joining all the time. So what other questions can I ask you whilst we're sort of getting going over there? I might even say, who's done a TT web class before? That'll be interesting kind of for me to know whether we sort of put the information out about this web class in a few different places. Some of those are going to be totally new to us. Some of you will have been like, loads of, it's Shannon. Hello, Shannon. I know who you are. You are one of ours. You have definitely joined us at various different times in the past. So where are we at? Okay, so something we're going to be trying to build up with you guys today. It's going to be really important that you're going to be sending us, find that questions panel. I'm about to show you how to do that, but I'm not going to do that until we've reached 6 o'clock, till the start time. So most of you have voted now. So most of you are freshies. I haven't showed you my results. There's the results. Okay, so most 90-10. That's nice. Okay, so I'm going to be giving you like a super in-depth rundown of kind of what we do at Taylor Tutors and how we help solve some of the issues that exist around A-level biology problems. So in fact, I'll give you a little heads up for something that's coming up later. You'll see one of the sections is called A-level biology problems. I'm going to be asking you, what are your issues with A-level biology problems? So if you want to type biology problem dash and then send them to me, just keep your problems rolling into me. I can see them coming in on my live screen over here. We've also got Travis answering questions for you today. So he's helping me out. He's going to basically be any questions that there's going to be so many of you in this web class. I'm just not going to be able to handle as many answers as I'd like. General questions about the course, about Taylor Tutors, anything like that. Trav's the man. He's going to answer all those. Specific biology questions, I am the biology. Trav is not a biologist, so he'll do his best, but he can't help you out with those kinds of things. So basically, I will use a combination of us. Northern Ireland, first time here. Awesome, nice to meet you. If you can spell your name out phonetically, I'll have a go at. I'm not even. I could say I know your surname, but I'm going to just make a fool of myself. But I don't mind. You never know unless you go. So it's something like, I can't even. Terrible. Can I call you Sal? No, that's a terrible. It's like, yeah, type your name out phonetically and I'll have a go at it. I'm not even sure I can decode that. Hello, Angeline. Hello, Messina. Hello, Fee. Hello, Alina. Hello, lots of you. How science works is a bit of a problem. How are we getting on? We're 1 minute two. Okay, so let's hide those results. I wonder if I've got any other questions. Are any of you currently subscribing to the Tailored Tutors packages? Out of interest, I'm guessing 90% of you probably are not going to be subscribed because you've never done one of our web classes. There may be some others of you who are, yeah, that obviously I know. I think Shannon is obviously a member. Angeline, I've seen she's a member. It'll be interesting to see. Natalie, hello, loads of people joining all the time. Don't worry, we haven't done anything important yet. We're going to start in just a moment. Applying knowledge to exams. There's going to be lots of applying knowledge to exams, and we're going to be, maybe I can ask you some questions, Shannon, see whether you think that the course has helped you with that over time. Lola Day. Hi, Lola Day. There's loads of you logging in saying hello. So yeah, if you haven't found that questions panel, I'm just about to start. We're basically at 6 o'clock. I think we should probably get cracking. Okay, so I'm going to close that. And let's, what was the result? We had most of you not TCs, 18% of you. That's kind of awesome. So to the 18%, you're going to see some of the stuff that is really common to the Tailored Tutors materials that we throw through all the lessons and all tutorials, some of the examples from the course as well. And those are obviously 82% of you. You're going to be all fresh and new, which is all super nice and super duper. Okay, without further ado, let's get cracking, shall we? So let's turn my screen on if it's going to let me. Why won't it let my Oh, because my poll is in progress. That is why I can't share my screen. Okay, so how to improve 2 grades without doing more work. Well, how does that sound? Would you like to improve 2 grades without doing more work? It's probably something you would. And I'm going to be asking loads of questions. Give me yeses. I want to see your feedback, and it's going to be really important. In fact, there's going to be a competition, which I'm not going to say anything about now. You're going to win a free course with us, and interacting is involved in that. I will explain all in just a moment. So let me know, yeah, who wants to improve a couple of grades? So let's get cracking. So as I've said, improve 2 grades without doing more work. How is this possible? Would you like to improve your exam technique? Again, let me know. Send me questions over here. Somebody's phoning me. At least I put my phone on silent. Leading by example, as always. Okay, so would you like to improve your grades? I'm assuming the answer to all these questions is probably going to be yes. Would you like to reduce the amount of hours you spend burying your head into a textbook and trying to figure out exactly what you need to know for the exam? Like, would you like to go into the exam being super confident, not stressed that you'd actually got holes in your knowledge? Like, would this be a nice thing for you to do? Would you like to get into your first choice uni? Of course, everyone wants to do that. And like the A-levels are just a stepping stone to do that. Would you like to burn your textbook? We probably don't recommend actually burning your textbook, but metaphorically chucking your textbook out the window. Like, for all the research we've done, we've seen that the course that we've put together is like basically way more effective than any of that. So say yeses. I need to rearrange my answer sheets over here. Yes, 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 says Molly, Alina, Sabrine, Aleda. So let me just flip this, and I wonder if I can organize my questions so that I can see them all. There's so many questions running in. I'm not going to be able to keep track. Travis, I'm sure, will be keeping track with all that. Okay, so stay tuned to the end. Why should you stay tuned to the end? Well, there's going to be giveaways. You can win courses. You can win stuff throughout this presentation. Most of those are going to be announced or given away at the end, so it's probably worth sticking around for that. There's going to be a live Q&A, so all your bulky questions, I've seen a whole load of them rolling in already, so do ask me those questions, but probably best bank them up for the Q&A at the end, because I'm going to be going a million miles an hour, and I don't want to get too sidetracked with this, that, and that. I want to keep on topic as much as possible. More competitions and giveaways. We're going to talk about the first one in just a minute. And if you stay to the end, we get a full list of everyone who's completed the web class. You'll be getting an email from us with some of the slides and some of the special downloads, the PDFs that we've put together for this. So good reason to basically give us an hour of your time. And also it's going to help you with your A-level biology. So let's go to, so I've talked about the interacting today. So you will find on your web panel somewhere, you're going to see this question mark here, which is probably going to be minimized to begin with, which I'll put this one here. So click on this question mark and you'll get something looking like this questions pop out, and there you can send us. That's where everyone is sending me these questions. If you're looking at your screen like, how's everyone sending these questions? You've got to find this question mark somewhere on your screen. You can then type your questions, and basically you can interact with us today. And there is going to be a competition today. The person who interacts with us the most, the person that is the most engaged, giving like quality answers, saying yes to everything. If we're asking you questions, if you're saying yes to everything, then you basically, Travis is going to pick the person that he thinks is the most engaged, the most switched on today. And that person before the end of this webinar is going to win the course. And if you already own the course, we just refund it for you. So super nice. Be involved. Learning works when you give it your full attention, when you are engaged. Like everyone's read a textbook, the chapter, and they've been half-assed. They're kind of playing on their phone. Like you can read that sentence even 10 times. It's not going to go into your head. If you say, here's $10,000, read this sentence, and if you can remember this sentence in 6 weeks' time, you get 10 grand. Then you're probably going to pay a bit more attention to that, and you're actually going to be really focused, and you're going to be giving it your full attention, and then you're more likely to remember it. So interaction is really important. Make sure that you are engaged and interacting with us today, because you will get some prizes. Okay, so how do I move on to the next slide? Why is nothing working for me today? Okay, so win stuff. Okay, so there's other opportunities to win things too. Before I get onto some biology, there are monthly competitions that we run. So for every month, at the end of the month, we're going to pick someone who's reviewed Tailored Tutors on the Facebook review. We don't pick it according to how well you review us. The winner is chosen at random. It has to be a public review. Let me just maybe jump out of this presentation if I can. Maybe I can share a different window. I don't know quite what's going on. There's definitely some glitchiness going on. Well, I sure you don't need me to find Tailored Tutors on Facebook. Find the review. It's got to be a public review, just because if we can't see it, then we can't pick you as the winner. Simple as that. Some people only share it with their friends. I've reviewed you and you didn't, like, I don't see it on the website. You've just got to choose public, so make sure everyone can see it. Also, another monthly competition that we run is going to be Tag TT. So if you're writing like a page of awesome revision notes, or you've got a biology revision tip or a general study revision tip, write it out, make it look awesome, and tag Tailored Tutors in your Instagram post, and we pick the best revision tip each month. So that's not a random draw. That's like picked on being the best revision tip that we think is the most useful. Check out our Instagram page. That's where we give away loads of free content, lots of stuff that's basically lots of key terms and definitions and kind of cool stuff that you kind of need to know for the exam. And it's a pretty fun and lighthearted kind of way of getting it across. So check out the Instagram page, and I will be pointing you there a little bit later on as well. And we will contact the winners obviously via their accounts on Facebook or on Instagram at the end of the month. Okay, so that's how you can win stuff. So even if you don't win today, there is opportunities. Once you've used the free trial, you can obviously have a crack and leave Facebook review. Okay, so who the hell am I? Well, I don't like talking about myself too much, like most British people, but more or less, I'll give you a bit of my timeline. So I did my biology A level in 2003. Back in 2003, there was no A star. I couldn't get an A star, and I'm very glad about it, because I didn't do as much work as I could have done, and I probably would have had to do a bit more work to get an A star. But I got an A in A level biology. I'll tell you the story one day. I didn't do any revision for my final A-level biology exam because I was too busy bricking myself about chemistry, and I still managed to get an A. So I was like in pretty good position when I was a student. But I then did I got a degree in biology. I did a first class honors, and then I've been teaching this exam, basically specifically the A-level biology exam, for about 10 years. I've basically become the most super genius A-level biology geek that you can get. Like if you ask me a question about the exam, I can probably tell you what exam paper it was. I know it far too well for it to be good for me. Like it's not ideal, but it's my life now. So it's my life to make your life a bit easier. I reckon I've done at least 1,000 past papers, all the exam boards. I was a tutor. At exam time, I'd be doing 10 exam papers a week, every week for months. And so I've done thousands of exam papers. I just know the patterns and the plays between all the exams. Plus, I then spent a lot of time studying the papers and analyzing them properly. And if you want to pay me as a private tutor, which basically I'm too busy to do these days, I'm at least £100 an hour. So my course in comparison is probably a better value option than getting me to be your tutor. But there we go. Okay, so what I am not the world's smartest student. My sister maybe takes the claim for that, but I definitely am not the hardest working student. Most definitely, I'm not the hardest working student like most guys. I would much rather be out playing football, playing frisbee, drinking beers. I would much rather be doing other things than sitting at my desk doing biology work. So I am not the smartest. I'm not the hardest working student. I am also not your typical high school teacher. I don't like the academic system, the way things are set up. I like to be as an alternative as possible. I see myself as like a super student that has the luxury of having 10 years to study for one A-level biology exam. And I'm sure if you had 10 years on your own to just do A-level biology, not multiple subjects in 1 or 2 years, you'd get pretty damn good at it too. So I see myself as being that like student that can share with you all those inside tips and secrets, that because it's my job, my life is to get good at this exam. So I like to share things in a way that's different from your teachers. I give you the very realistic. I know that cyclic AMP and second messengers, that comes up in like one paper every 6 years. I know that condensation hydrolysis reactions are going to be in every single paper. So I can tell you, I can guide you. Where's it most important? Learn this first, maybe learn these things afterwards. I mean, it's important to know it all because it does all fit in together, but there are things that are more important than others. I am not the exam boards. The exam boards don't cooperate with me in any way. I try and ask them details about the spec and they say, oh, we can't tell you that. We can't tell you that. It's like, there's so many irregularities in the specifications. It drives me insane. If anyone from the exam boards is watching, please send me an email. I would love to give you some feedback. I have 17,000 students in my academy. I get lots of feedback from those people, and I would like to share that with you to improve your course. But anyway, that's another point. I'm not a textbook. Textbooks are terrible. I just picked up the OCR one. See how brand new, gleaming, shiny it is? It's because I never open them. I bought them when the spec was released 3 years ago. I would suspect that 10 times have been the amount of times I opened this book. But look at this. Look at this. This is a monster. That's a monster. Like, I can't imagine that. Okay, go and learn that. Go and learn that. Go and learn this book. Get lost? No chance. Not happening. For 4 subjects? No. Get out of town. So I basically see myself as kind of like the opposite of the textbook. So let's do some biology, shall we? Enough nattering from me. I've been ignoring all my questions over here. So, wow. Okay. So, yeah, Travis, good luck dealing with some of those. There's been like 300 questions since I last. I'm sorry if we're not going to get to your question. I'll do everything we can to answer your questions today. There are more things here than you can, like, every minute there's like 40 questions. And so Trav, he's a very quick typer, but he's not going to be able to type. Is one of the prizes £10,000? Sadly not. We might do a £1,000 competition later in the year. I've not mentioned this to anybody yet, so I'm not going to say anything about it, but there probably will be win £1,000 in vouchers of some sort to your choice, be that Amazon, Spotify. You won't spend £1,000 on Spotify, but yeah, you'll Topshop, you name it. I'm going to keep that under hats for now. Okay, let's look at some A-level. Oh, I know what I was supposed to do before I show you that. You can tell I've never done this presentation before. I'm not making it up as I go, but okay. So what are your biggest A-level biology problems? Here's a poll. So I've given you a few. I know from experience talking to students in the past that these are typically the issues. So pick, if it's something else, you've got other, send it to us in the chat. I need to reverse my order here so fresh questions come on the top. Why can't I do that? I wonder if no, I can't do that. I can't flip my order. Oh, the questions are coming in at the bottom and they just come and keep going off my screen. I want to see. You can't see me, just my screen. Well, right now I'm showing a poll. Oh, I can't even know when that was sent. That was probably sent minutes ago. Do we do WJEC? Not really. That's probably the easiest way. Okay, so let's close this and share our results. 71% of you voted on this. Where is it? Okay, so way too much content to realistically learn it all. Massive, massive issue. Understanding what the exam questions really want, using the right words on the exam. Sometimes we're going to go through all of these, so don't worry. I'm going to just understanding it all, linking it together, something else. If you do have other issues, then let me know. Application. Okay, so let's hide that. And now we can, so these are the things that I typically come across in the A-level biology exams. So understanding the exam questions, yeah, and we're going to basically, this is where we're going to get into the nitty gritty. We're going to get into it. It's 1:15. I've done very well. I was worried my introduction was going to take too long. We've got some time. Take a breath. Pens out. Well, you might not have time to go through this again. If you stay to the end, we will send you a recording, but only if you stay to the end, because we want you to be engaged and actually make some use out of this. Okay, so understanding exam questions. Would you agree that exam technique is very important in the A-level biology exam? Probably more than any other type of exam you're going to sit, but would you agree with that? Like, I want to know, like, whoa, it's not the button I wanted to push. Would you agree? I'm not seeing many yeses flying in. I'm actually paying attention to the screen for once. So, like, do you agree? Definitely agree. Good work, Sam. Okay, so have you ever thrown away marks for answering the question the wrong way, where you kind of knew the knowledge, the actual answer wasn't a difficult thing, but you just like misinterpreted the question? I still do this, and I do. As I said, I've done thousands of A-level biology past papers. So, like, do you agree that you've thrown marks away for doing this? I certainly have. And would you like to learn from, basically, I study much more exam. The biology for me, obviously, I've done a degree in biology. The science isn't that difficult. I don't get 100% in the exams, and I've been studying this exam for years. So trying to get 100% isn't really the aim. But do you want to learn from someone who knows the exams inside out? Boom, so many times. Yeah, Rebecca, Lucinda, Alina. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I can't flip I want my answers received the other way up. Trav, if you've got any way of flipping, normally you can just click on the time that the question was received, and you'll put the new questions at the top, and then the old questions drop off the bottom. Anyway, Trav can tell me that if you can figure it out. Okay, so I'm going to set your question. No, don't stress about this too much. We're going to like just have a quick look at it. A woman was given a solution of sucrose to drink. Her blood glucose concentration was measured over the next 90 minutes. Her results are shown on the graph. Blood glucose concentration on the y-axis, time in minutes on the x-axis. Describe how the woman's blood glucose concentration changed in the period shown on the graph for 2 marks. 2 marks, we're going to have approximately 2 minutes. I'm going to rush you. I'm going to say, give me answer to this. I'm going to give you starting the stopwatch. I'm going to give you 1.5 minutes. I'm going to be fairly quiet and deal with some questions. One minute. Nice. Lots of you giving me nice, clean, short, sharp answers. Really exactly what I'm looking for here. I've seen students do this. This to me, it becomes immediately obvious, and I might jump into my other teaching software somewhere. Yeah, I'm getting a few glitches. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just demonstrate the answer to this like super quickly, and like this is like universal answer to all describe the graph questions. Okay, we're done. We're at 1:34. I'll give you 4 seconds extra. Okay, so the answer to this question is rises, then falls is the first mark. It goes up, then it goes down. And the second mark is saying that it peaks at 45 minutes, or you could say it peaks at 6 point something. I'm not going to even read the scale, something millimoles per decimeter cubed. Okay, so don't believe me? Well, the answer to this is the mark scheme for this exact question. Rose then fell. Peak at 45 minutes. So what are we doing? What do we learn from? There we go. Okay, so let me look at. Oh, good job. I prepared this properly as well. Where are we? Let's look at this question over here. Okay, so this is kind of like universal answer for graph questions. Let's just zoom in a little bit. If we want to describe a graph, and let me pull out my graphics tablet and maybe. We're jumpy today. Okay, so let's go straight line. So whenever we've got a describe the graph question, we want to, that's not a straight line, is it? Type. Let's make it a bit fatter. Maybe make it red. This is very strange. Why isn't technology never works when you kind of really want it to, right? Why are you doing me an sigmoidal curve? What about I'm just going to go to a good old-fashioned. I bet there's something interacting with my graphics tablet here. It's definitely doing some pretty weird things. Okay, we'll try an arrow instead, shall we? What? There's definitely a setting that's... Okay, scratch the arrow, back to a manual pen. Okay, so whenever you're describing a graph, you want to break it into straight line sections. Oh, this is why. And then we want to talk about any specifically highlighted points. So, for example, if we have a graph that does this, super complicated one, but oh, yeah, okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about, describe this graph. Well, we can say there's a slow, steady increase. So we're just drawing all of this bit as a straight line, and we're going to talk about this section. Then we can say there was a change, there was a steep increase during this section here. Then we can say there was a rapid decrease here, and we might want to talk about the points of interest, which is here and here. So if whenever we're describing the graph, split it into straight line sections. Yes, it might be fluctuating and going up, but that just basically means we can say there's fluctuations is the word to use there, and it's following this trend, it's increasing. But whenever there's a steep change in something that's happening, divide it into a straight line, and then that's the section you need to talk about. Here, we can see we've got two sections, so that's one mark, and then we got the peak, the interesting point, the peak at, the dips at, the lowest, the highest, the maximums, the minimums, all that kind of stuff. Good work, Trav. Yeah, I see. I feel your pain. I see how many questions there are. Good luck is what I'm basically going to say to you. There's nothing else I can help you with. I'll answer as many verbally as I can. Okay, so that's how to do your graph questions. Describe the graph. Explaining the graph, we're going to come on to the differences there in just a moment. So let's go back to present this one. Okay, so command words. How do we know what the question's really asking us? This is one of the biggest issues with A-level biology. 71% of you, I think, said that this was an issue for you in A-level biology. I've now lost my questions panel, so having promised Trav I'd get back to him, I'm now just ignoring all the questions. Let's pop that open. Okay, are you now going to let me... No, let's just scroll down. Sorry, yeah, there's just millions and millions of questions to be answered. Okay, so let's look at this. In fact, let's actually do this in let's do this in something I can write on. It's not quite so jazzy, but we can basically, I'll put this slide in over here as well. So we've got describe the graph. Well, describe and explain are very different questions. They are basically asking us to do totally different things. Describe this graph. Well, it goes up, starts at 0, increases to a peak at this, and then decreases rapidly to 0. That's the describe the graph question. You might look fairly familiar. This is kind of like enzyme temperature kind of graph. Classic kind of denaturation of an enzyme. So describe the graph. We're only going to get marks for saying what's the shape of the graph. Explain, we look here, this says give reasons. This is what explain means. Every single time you see explain in an A-level biology question, replace that in your head with give reasons for. Sometimes the wording becomes a little bit clunky, but give reasons. It's telling you what you have to do in the answer. So explain the shape of the graph. Well, it starts at 0. The temperature is low. There's no kinetic energy. It then rises steadily as temperature increases. There's more kinetic energy, more collisions, more enzyme substrate complexes being formed up to the optimum temperature when the active site is as busy as it can be, and then it decreases to 0. It's denatured because the temperature, the bonds are being shaken so much by the kinetic energy, the shape, the tertiary structure of the active site is changed. So describe, you've got to just give it, do not give me reasons when you're doing it. So often you'll get describe the graph. And in fact, I had a few examples here I was going to pull out, but they're already off my screen. You've got to be describing only for describe questions, and you've got to give reasons for explain questions, the major subdivision in the two most commonly used command words in A-level biology. Well, then down here, I've got give, name, state, calculate, define. I'm not really going to spend any, they're super easy. They are 1 markers. Calculate this. Okay, it might not be a 1 marker, but you know what you need to do. So there's no mystery in those questions, so I'm not going to go over them. Suggest questions are probably the most difficult. They are going to take an element of something that you have been taught about the theory of, and you're then going to have to extrapolate that or apply that to some other field. Maybe it's another type of protein. It's not a receptor. It's not a enzyme. It's not an antibody, but it's another type of protein. So then they're expecting you to know that proteins all have the same structure: primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary. What happens when I pour an acid on this weird protein that I've never seen before? Well, it's going to disrupt the hydrogen bonding. It's going to disrupt the ionic bonding. It's going to then affect the tertiary structure. Maybe its shape there doesn't fit, and therefore it's not going to do this. You're not going to know the answers, but you can take the knowledge that you've got and apply it. You're going to be basically giving sensible suggestions, sensible ideas. You're not going to know the answers. I don't always get these 100% right myself, so don't feel too bad about it, but there's things we can do to help our chances. I'll talk about that in a minute. Last most common command word is going to be evaluate. Evaluate means you have to give the advantages and the disadvantages, the pros and the cons. So that basically means evaluate this experiment. Well, he had a large sample size, and he used did a statistical test, so we can say that these were good reasons and give the reasons why. Then we can say, but however, they only tested males and they didn't test females, and they only tested patients who were suffering from the disease. They didn't test people who weren't suffering from the disease, so maybe we can't tell these things about it. So you've got to give me both sides of the argument. You could give me 10 reasons why this is a great experiment, but if it's an evaluate question out of 4, and then always 4 marks, you're only going to get a maximum of 3 for advantages. You need to give at least 1 disadvantage or other side of the coin to get the full marks in the exam. So that's what we need to do with those guys. Okay, so let's have a look at that. Yeah, okay, let's go next up and switch back to my mouse. Okay, so how did I fix this, basically? Well, having done so many past papers, I know kind of what they're most likely to ask and when they're most likely to ask them. So I kind of give, in all my tutorials, all my videos, I give you that information. As much as I can, I'll guide you towards the low-hanging fruit, the easiest bits to learn. I also know how they're going to likely to ask a type of question. I put some examples down in magnification. So in theory, you have to know how to do image object magnification. You need to know that triangle. You need to do it, work it out all ways round. What do they ask you always? They always give you the image, because they can't give you something that's like 2 microns or 2 micrometers, because you can't measure it. They're going to have to give you the image. So all you have to do is go from the image, either find the magnification. They'll say the object was actually 6 micrometers long. This is the image. How much was it magnified by? Or they're going to say, this image is magnified 15,000 times. Here's the image. How big was the object? Which is the most common question. So I can tell you things like that in those lessons, which show you where you need to focus on. Basically, yeah, and the exam, the ultimate guide, we do whole different packages, but the ultimate guide includes a full course on exam technique. So you ask me any of these questions: magnification, protein structure, speciation, I can tell you the classic answer that's going to cover 90% of the marks on the exam, and there's a single page of notes that's going to cover all those answers. So yes, there are other things that we need to learn to some extent, but these are the core bits of the exams that come up time and time again. Okay, sweet. Next up, I wonder if I can even show you that. No, I'll save it for the end. I'll save it, if I remember, I'll save it for the end. The textbooks are bonkers. While we've seen this, transport across membranes, let's see if I think I bookmarked it. Page 100 now. Okay, so we've got, starting with diffusion, we've got, what have we got here? We've got, well, that's 11 pages. So we've got page of mostly text here, double page of mostly text, a couple of diagrams, but probably also mostly text. It doesn't really matter whether it's, I mean, all the textbooks are equally terrible. There are some diagrams, but again, mostly text. Bulk transport. Has there ever been a question on bulk transport ever? No. You can use the term, you won't get it marked down, but is it a key term you have to use in the exam? It's a whole subheading. It's like, never used. Forget it. Don't use it. Why are you writing about this stuff in the textbook? Osmosis. Aquaporins basically never used in the exam. You don't ever have to say aquaporin to get an osmosis mark. There's never a mark that's only aquaporin. You can say water channel. You can say it diffuses by osmosis. You don't even have to say any of those things. Like it's ridiculous. Why is this in the book? I don't get it. Anyway, textbook rant over. It's 11 pages. Okay, so 11 pages of the textbook. I want you to ask yourself the question. In fact, I'm gonna ask this poll to read the chapter and effectively kind of teach it to yourself, and then you've got to write out the notes on 11 pages, and then you've got to maybe condense those notes into something that's useful for revision. So I want to know something I didn't do before. Sorry, was just share your poll results from which your biggest A-level biology problems. So do you agree with those? Who writes or creates the course? I do. Okay, there's going to be so many of these questions. I'm going to have to try and get back to you all by email, basically. I think that's what we're going to try and do. So they were the issues. I now want to ask you another poll. I want to say, okay, so how long do you think this would take? How long to read 11 pages and then write notes and then condense your notes? 12% of you voted. Come on, let's make this nice and quick, and then I can spend more time giving you content. I want 80%, 22% of you. Come on, click a button. It's not too difficult. Quarter of you have voted. 40% of you have voted. To be honest, I'm asking you. I think this would take me 11 pages. Yeah. At least 10 minutes a page. That's an hour and 20. Yeah, that's like, yeah. Okay, we're at 90%. Okay, let's have a look. So 60%, 3 hours or more, about 2 hours for a chapter, 34%, and then some of you 30 minutes or less. Okay, sweet. So some of you ripping through in ridiculous time, and some of you doing like lots of intensive notes. So bear that in mind. We've said between 2 hours and 3 hours. So most of you said 3 hours. Okay, so that's it. Let's have a look and see. So how can we reduce? I'm going to actually come back to this slide. I'm going to show you a demo of this, and it's going to make more sense to you. But I'm going to immediately now ask you the question. The Tailored Tutors videos are going to have the videos. How long is it going to take you to, those of you who've done the course, the videos are 6 to 12 minutes on average, and you might need to do maybe 1 or 2 or possibly 3 to cover this to cover that amount of content. So my question to you now is, how long is it going to take to watch a 15-minute video basically and then write notes? I give you the notes as you need to write them down. You don't need to think about what's on the screen. What in the textbook, you're not going to write every single word from that chapter. You have to make the decisions about what meant, which of these things are important, which you don't know, and which of these things are not important, like bulk transport. I've made all those decisions for you, and I have put that into the course. So basically, you only have to write down what I write down, and it is super important to take notes. This is the OCR textbook, but it doesn't matter. This is, I've got, it really, it's just a demo. All the textbooks are terrible. I don't like any of them. So it's not, I'm not just picking on OCR here. The other textbooks are pretty crap too. It's the OCR-A textbook. Some of you are asking that. Okay, so how many voted? Okay, so let's close it and share the results. What do we get? Some of you are saying 3 hours, almost like the opposite. So about 2 hours, 6%, about 1 hour. This was over 90% of you voted, 30 minutes or less. Okay, so you can see how I can shave so much time. I've basically done all the work of filtering and sorting and condensing for you, and I've put it only what you need to know in a set of videos that you can then watch it back as many times as you like. Okay, so how did I do this? If you don't have the course, you don't want to buy the course, then that's fine. I'll show you kind of how I've done that. It is quite time consuming, but we'll give it a crack. Okay, I'll read this through. It might not make that much sense. I will then show you an example of how I do it on my computer. So I'm saying reduce your workload by 75%. How did I get to that number? Well, you said 3 hours probably to write, 2 to 3 hours to write notes on your textbook. And then most of you said, I can't even remember. I think most of you said about half an hour to maybe an hour. So that's a big time chop. So you need to use the mark schemes. The textbooks don't tell you what's going to be in the exam. The exams tell you what's going to be on the exam. And more specifically than the exams, it's the mark schemes that you really need to be using. So what I suggest you do is download all of the past papers and mark schemes, every single one that your exam board does, including the previous specification, which I know is not 100% the same, but there is a massive, massive overlap. Massive overlap. So it is super key that you have those as well. And why do you need to download them and not print them? Maybe have a printed copy as well, but you need to be able to search these documents. So you can build a list of what the mark schemes tell you need to know on every topic. And I spent 2.5 years doing this, so I did it in some detail. You can do this quite effectively. It's much easier with a Mac than it is with a PC. I'll show you how. You can then digitally search for your key terms, and then you can basically look at all the questions and all the answers for each topic. Something I do before I plan a video for my course is I go through all the past papers from all the exam boards going back to 2006. And so that's the old spec, and then the new spec. And I will look at every single question and every single answer on those topics. So what I'll do, let's say we're doing protein synthesis, transcription, translation, I'll bullet point 15 key terms, all the enzymes, everything that's involved. I'll then go through every single question and every single answer that involves every single one of those key terms, and I write down all the commonly known stuff that you have to know for the exam, and then I write my lesson based on that. So that is how I build mine. And you can do something similar yourself. If you don't want to buy my course, that's fine, but it does take some time. I'll show you how. You can then see all the common answers. You can also see how often they ask a question. If you search for a key term and it's in one past paper in 2006, forget it. Probably not going to come up again, is it really? But if you do a search for a key term and it's in like 15 mark schemes, it's like, they ask this like every other year. Probably worth knowing. Also, you can search for a key term and you can see which words are used in the question and which words are used in the mark scheme. If you search for osmosis, typically that's probably going to be 50-50. Some questions will ask about osmosis, some questions will need you to say osmosis in your answer. If you say something like tertiary structure is only in the mark schemes. They never say tertiary structure in the question paper. They only use that. That's a key term reserved only for the answers. So you have to then put that into, this is one I've got to use in the exam. So it shows you whether it's a question word or whether it's a mark scheme word, which is mega important. You can also use the long answer questions to write condensed notes. So let's give you a little demo of how I do this. Okay, so you should probably now see my desktop. Okay, so I have a folder here, A-level biology. It has everything in here. So I'm going to just pick AQA. It doesn't matter. This is just a demo. So I've got so this is the old marks, all the old past papers. Look at them, bloody hundreds of the bastards. And then got the old ones broken down by unit, and then the current exam papers, and some other bits and pieces I use for teaching. But you can see I've got loads. I've got all the papers. So you've got OCI, Excel, I've got Cambridge here, WJC here. I go through them all. Let's take AQA, the old spec. I'm choosing the old spec because there's way more content, obviously, and there's only a couple of past papers for the new spec. So someone give me a key term. Someone give me an AS biology key term. Oh my God, there's so many questions. Okay, Anish, I'm sorry, Anish, Molly, Hader, George, Caitlin, Laura, Melissa, Shannon, Afsa. I will scroll through these and pick the really common questions towards the end. Okay, so some of you, DNA polymerase, perfect. DNA polymerase. Okay, so I can now search for DNA polymerase. As I said, this is way easier in a Mac because this searches all of the AQA papers. So look, I can see here, MS is mark scheme, QP is question paper. So there's a bit of a mix between, interestingly, Unit 2, it's mostly on the mark schemes, and Unit 5, it's on a combination of the mark schemes and the question. Mostly it's more MS than QP, so it's an important word to use in your answers. Let's take the top one. Open up the PDF. So this is how you'd be doing it at home. You'd do the search, you'd find this, you're then going to go, let's go back. Which year was this? This was, if you're interested, it's AQA old spec unit 2, January 2013. Okay, so we go DNA polymerase. If I've spelt it right, let's just go DNA because it will probably be in there. Okay. What about polymerase? Okay, sweet. There we go. So we have a question on DNA replication. Exactly the same level of detail required by the old spec and the new spec. Nothing's changed on this one. So what you were doing, if you're using this at home, you're going to search for your key term You're going to then find that key term in all the exam papers that you can find it in. So like here, and then you're going to open, this is just one. Obviously, you've got to do this for every single paper. You can see how this is going to take you a little bit of time. As I said, I've done this for you, but you're then going to find DNA polymerase. And now we can see what do AQA, or what do any exam board, the OCR students and WJEC students and EdXL students, this is going to be basically exactly the same answer for you as it is for them. Obviously, when you're doing it at home, just use your exam board notes. Separate, strands separate or hydrogen bonds break. DNA helicase is involved. Both strands act as the template. Free nucleotides attach. Complementary or specific base pairing, A with T, C with G. DNA polymerase joins nucleotides on the new strand. Hydrogen bonds. The new specs asked for in here, there would be forming phosphodiester bonds. That's the only bit of difference they've added to the new spec between 0.6 and 0.7. DNA polymerase joins nucleotides to form phosphodiester bonds, key term, extra mark. Hydrogen bonds reform between the nucleotides, semi-conservative replication. So let's have a look at my video on this is called DNA replication. How clever is my computer sometimes? I'm not going to watch the video, but let's have a look at my notes, and you won't be surprised to see that, okay, I wonder if I can split this kind of half like this, half like this. Okay, so strands separate, hydrogen bonds break. DNA helicase breaks the hydrogen bonds between the complementary bases A with T, C with G. New nucleotides, I don't know if you can see this, new nucleotides pair with complementary bases on the template strand. DNA polymerase joins the nucleotides in a condensation reaction. So I've got a little bit more detail. Can this go away? I'd rather that just went away, my play button. Yeah, okay, so we've then got DNA polymerase has an active site. So I've gone into a bit more detail because some of the questions ask about that, and is semi-conservative down here. So you've got 1 page of notes. I wonder, let me just have a quick check if I can find semi-conservative in here, how many pages that is in the textbook. Survival, sexual reproduction, semi-conservative representation, 72 to 74. So it's 4 pages probably. Okay, so we've got some diagrams, lots of notes, and then more. This is, you do not need to know which amino acids are formed by which bases. Like, writing that out would be such a waste of time. I can't believe it. Ozaki fragments, they do occasionally pop up in the OCR spec actually, but not for AQA students. So yeah, it's just a time saver, massive time saver. So that's how you would do what I've done. You download all the past papers, search for key terms, find those key terms in the exam papers, and then we can use this answer. Yeah, this is the perfect answer for described DNA, semi-conservative DNA replication. Perfect. That's what they want you to know, apart from phosphodiester bonds. So like, that's how you can do what I've done. Oh my God, I can't even keep up. I can't even see. Okay, let's go back to the presentation and do some more science. So that's what this means. Go through, that's how you can basically do it. I think we covered all of this. Oh, interestingly, I've just done the live demo. That's what that was about. This was the last time we launched a free trial to the whole website. We gave people free access for 1 week. And I'm just going to show you, this was the AS biology course. This is when they created their account. And this is how much of the course they completed. So a student completed the whole course in 7 days. Nicolette completed 98% of AS biology, like it's a year's worth of school content, in 2 days. I'm sure she probably didn't learn it amazingly effectively in 2 days, but that shows you how effective or how much you can study in such, like 7 days ago, 7 days ago, 7 days ago, 7 days, 6 days ago. People have done basically between half and the entire course in a week. Is that possible with a textbook? I very highly doubt it. Okay, let's move on. Again, the transport across membranes page, if I was going to be putting this in notes, you've got 11 pages in the textbook, 11 pages, and this is effectively transport across membranes in a nutshell. How do things get across membranes? Osmosis is passive. Water moves from high water potential to low water potential. That is going to cover basically all your questions on osmosis. simple diffusion. It's small, non-polar, or you can say lipid-soluble molecules down the concentration gradient. It's also passive. High to low concentration goes straight through the phospholipid bilayer because it's fat-soluble. Facilitated diffusion, we've got two types. We've got channel proteins, channel, nice and small, thin channels. And channels basically are going to take small charged particles like ions, sodium, potassium, chlorine, magnesium, calcium. These are going to go through channels because they're long and narrow. Carrier proteins, I think aircraft carrier, massive boats, they take large molecules like glucose across the membrane. They go down the concentration gradient because they're passive. Active transport is the same as facilitated diffusion, except you're going to be using against the concentration gradient using ATP. Now, you're going to say that every single time you talk about active transport, regardless of what the question says. You can put in brackets, using ATP against the concentration gradient. Takes 2 seconds, nearly always gets you extra marks. Next up, we've got phagocytosis or endocytosis, basically kind of similar-ish kind of process. When you're engulfing a vesicle or a cell, in the case of phagocytosis, it's active. Basically, that's what you need to know. And exocytosis is when the vesicle fuses and comes out, most commonly comes up in protein synthesis. Name the organelles involved in synthesizing proteins. Got maybe the nucleus containing the DNA carries the code. We've then got the ribosome reads the messenger RNA. The rough endoplasmic reticulum is where the ribosomes are based. You then form a vesicle. It goes off to the Golgi apparatus where it gets modified and then forms another vesicle and goes off to the cell membrane where it buds out. That's the most common question that you're going to get on exocytosis. Yes, Trav, chemistry. Yeah, we are doing a chemistry course. This year it's going to be calculations in chemistry only. It's not going to be the full course. We don't have time to produce it all, but it is being launched very soon. Trav is gonna, can you tell me about yeah, pricing? I think we can say, let's say if the pricing does change, Trav, we will give anyone whose email address is registered for this web class the price we said before, so 50 quid, £49 plus VAT is what the chemistry course is going to be. Single purchase, it's going to be all the calculations. But we're doing biology now. I'm not a chemist, so let's move on. Last major topic, we're at Q2, not doing too badly for time. Using the right words on the exam. So again, I'm going to ask this to you as a poll. Have you ever revised the topic, understood it, got it in your head, done an exam question, written a pretty decent answer, and then you marked it and you got like 2 out of 5? Or like, it's like, I don't understand. I know this subject. I know how to answer this question, but I can't get the marks on the exam. Again, tell me, I'm going to look at the answers here all the time. Yeah, absolutely all the time. It happens so frequently. This is often the biggest complaint with A-level biology questions. So I'm going to ask you this as a poll. I'm terrible at sharing my results. Okay, so that was my previous poll results. You can tell I'm not very well rehearsed at this. And then, okay, so let's hide those results and now ask you the question I really want to ask you. Have you ever revised the topic? Yes or no? Binary answer. Have you ever done this? Have you revised the topic, understood it, done an exam question, and then done really badly? Or just not done as well as you expected? 16%, 18%, 20% of you have voted. I want to know. Okay, we're getting up there. We're getting up there. I still want 80% at least of you to vote. So yeah, ding, 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 ding. Push those buttons. 70%. We're at 80. Boom. Okay, so what do we got? Now I'm going to share my results. 96 to 4%. Super common issue. Really, like the students that I work with one-to-one, this is no doubt the biggest thing that we work on. Okay, so how do we fix this? How do we fix this? I've put here one of my little catchphrases I use with my students is, it's not what you know, but how you write it down. Because 90% of the time, especially when we get towards the exam time, it's not knowledge that's the issue anymore. It's like exam technique and writing the right words on the exam. Okay, so this is a classic question. Maltose is hydrolyzed by the enzyme maltase. Explain why maltase catalyzes only this reaction. 3 marks. I'm going to give you 2 minutes because I'm a stingy guy and we don't have much time. Answer me this question. And then we're going to go through how I'm going to break the question down and you're going to answer it again. But answer me this question. Let's say you're sitting in the exam. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to try and pick out some common questions and give you some answers in a minute. You're looking for 3 points. 3 marks means you've got 3 points to make. So you kind of 3 reasons, yes. But you're looking at bullet points. Think of the mark schemes. I'm going to shut up. You've still got 30 seconds. Oh my days. Okay, 2 minutes, bang on the nose. Okay, so loads of answers coming in here. Let's just I'm going to come back to these actually. I'm going to run you through a few things. A few questions that I just saw that were kind of common. Extra reading, I'm going to deal with at the end. It's a good question. Would your questions normally get answered in a web class? So the live web classes I do for the Ultimate Guide subscribers, I cap. There's like, I don't know, Trav, how many people are in here right now? Can you tell me how many people are in the web class right now? This is obviously a free web class. It's open to everyone. I can tell you there's 115 plus. Yeah, okay. So there's just massive volume. There's no, if you do one of my teaching web classes where I'm actually in the whiteboard showing you exam questions, it's a lot less polished than this. It doesn't look so fancy, but I answer every question in the live web classes that I do for Ultimate Guide students. That's a good question. Okay, so now let's look at my tips for question analysis. Here we've got the question again. Maltose is hydrolyzed by the enzyme maltase. Explain or give reasons why maltase catalyzes only this reaction. So this is what I'm telling you to do every single biology exam question, every single time. Yes, it's going to take you longer in the beginning during your past papers when you're practicing. This is going to slow you down to begin with, but you're going to have to get over that hump because your quality of your answer and then eventually your speed of answer is going to get way faster. So what do? First up, read the question, identify the command word. What's the command word? Describe, explain, evaluate, outline, state, calculate, give, all of those. What's the command word? What is the question telling? What's the command? What must I do for this question? How many marks is the question worth? Every single time, know how many marks the question is worth. 100%. Like every time I'm working with students in the exam, I've got enough battery. It doesn't matter if I've just pulled my power cord out. Every single time I work with students, I put a question up on screen. Basically, I'll move it off the screen. How many questions? 2, 3, 4, 2. Not sure. You have to know. 100% of the questions you have to know. 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 mark, 4 marks, 5 marks, 6 marks occasionally. OCR ever so occasionally have 8 mark questions. So that's what you have to do that every single time. And that takes 2 seconds. It's describe 2 marks. Like that doesn't take any time at all. Read the question again and find the topic of the question. Now, the topic of the question, what I mean by this is what chapter or what page in the textbook or of my lessons would the answer be in? Where would that answer be inside the course? Like, so this question, we've got, what is the question? We've got maltose is hydrolyzed by the enzyme maltase. Explain why maltase only catalyzes this reaction. So what do you think? What do you think? What's the topic of this question? What's this question getting at? What is the essence of this question? If you were to strip away all the nonsense, what is this question really about? Enzymes, can you be a bit more specific than enzymes, Georgia? Yes, it's an enzyme. So it would be, so you've got enzymes and carbohydrates, so the 2 major topics for sure. And you're right, this is an enzymes question, doesn't really have anything to do with maltose and maltase, to be perfectly honest with you. You could get 3 marks on this question without mentioning either of those. I would, but you don't have to. So we've got like induced fit, yeah, so that's nice. Enzymes specific. Okay, so we're getting to enzyme specificity is how I described it, but all of those are nice answers. Okay, so we're going to find the topic of the question. Let's not get distracted by the maltose and the maltase. This is about enzymes. So now we know it's an enzymes question. We have to keep the command word the same and rephrase it so that it's easier to answer. So I'm going to actually replace explain with give reasons why enzymes are specific, and use maltose and maltase as an example. That's how that's the question I am answering in the exam. I'm not answering the exam question anymore. I'm now answering, give reasons why enzymes are specific, and use maltose and maltase as an example. Now, I need this question clear in my head. I need to be able to tell you that question. I need to answer the question from my mind, not from what's written on the paper. So I say, give reasons why enzymes are specific, using maltose and maltase as an example. So you have to be able to tell yourself what the question is without reading it. If you get to the end of the question and I take your answer sheet away from you and I say, what was the question? And you can't tell me what the question was, how good do you think your answer was? Probably not amazing. Maybe you got full marks, but the question's got to be clear because your writing comes from your head. It's a productive skill. So if you're relying on the question being on the paper, that's not good enough. The question's got to be in your head for you to answer it properly. So you want to get that question distilled into a nugget. What's the essence of the question in your head? Do it with your eyes closed. Flip the exam paper upside down. Tell yourself, can I do this? This, as I said, it takes practice. This will slow you down in the beginning. It'll speed you up in the end and improve your answers. Okay, now, next step, quick mental brainstorm. All of the possible key terms on that. Give me some key terms. Give me some enzyme specificity key terms. Just splurt them out. Any particular order, pump them in there. Hussein, yeah, so specificity of enzymes, you nailed it. Oh, you've already written like 50 comments that I have not read. Okay, so you've got tertiary structure. I know. Okay, so I know that this is gonna. You're doing all this practice in past papers. You should do minimum 50 past papers before you sit your real exam. Minimum 50. Like past papers. What you're studying is how to do the A-level biology exam. How much you know about biology is irrelevant. What you know about the A-level biology exam is 100% relevant. So if you're not doing past papers before you go into the exam, you are setting yourself up for failure. You have to do past papers. So you're doing all this learning process, the slow bit, in the past paper process. When you get to the real exam, this is going to be second nature to you, just banging out answers left, right, and center. Okay, induced fit, active site, lock and key, enzyme substrate complex, tertiary structure, complementary, biological catalyst. We've got loads here. Okay, sweet. So you do a quick mental brainstorm. Get all these things fresh in your head. Now we're ready to write the answer at point number 7. Write short sentences, 7 to 10 words. Use bullet points, but I'm going to use full stops instead of bullet points, but think in bullet points. You've seen the mark schemes. I just showed you the mark scheme. I wonder if we can pop it open and are you going to let me come out of this? No. Yeah, you've seen the mark schemes. There's like 4 words. I think I did analysis on this. I think there's an average of 4.5 words per mark in the mark schemes. Now, you're going to need a few more than that. But if you're writing 3 lines as 1 sentence, that's bad exam technique. You need to be writing in bullet points. Literally, you are allowed to write in bullet points. That is actually quite encouraged by the exam boards. But I personally write full sentence, short sentence, full stop, and that full stop is my next bullet point. I don't do it on another line, but I'm not writing joined up perfect prose. I'm writing short, factually accurate bullet points, one after the other, 1 bullet point minimum per mark. Use at least 1 key term per sentence. Ideally 1, not 2. 1 sentence, 1 key term, 1 factual point, next mark. Next bullet point, next key term, next mark. Move on. You're not writing joined up sentences. That's the wrong way to answer A-level biology questions, unless it's the AQA essay question. That's a separate question entirely. There's prep in that in the course if you need it. And now, if you do have time to reread and proofread your answers, it's almost impossible to reread an answer and think, is it a good answer, is it a bad answer? You just get sucked into, if you've made a mistake in terms of analyzing it in the beginning, you're probably going to make the same mistake twice. If you misread a word once, you go back to that word, your brain just fills in the gap and you just reread it. But what you can do is add in more key terms. Read your answers like, oh, I've not said tertiary structure. Like bang in, literally squeeze in as many relevant key terms as you possibly can. All of A-level biology is about the key terms. That's what you have to do. This question analysis sheet will be emailed to everyone who stays to the end. So we will provide it to you, but you just have to be here at the end. Woo! Okay, so that's how. I don't know what this software is playing silly buggers with me today. Okay, so maltose is hydrolyzed by the enzyme maltase. Explain why maltase catalyzes only this reaction. Number 1, command word is explain, which means give reasons. Number 2, it's 3 marks. What is the topic? Enzyme specificity. Rephrase the question to make it easier. So using maltase as an example, give reasons why enzymes are specific. And key terms, active site. I did this in advance. You've told me all of these things already, so you've beaten me to it. And so what would be the answer? Well, using maltase as an example, give reasons why enzymes are specific. The active site of maltase. has a specific tertiary structure. Only maltose, or the substrate, is complementary to the active site. Only maltose can form an enzyme substrate complex. Now, I'm going to show you this. This is the lesson. This is a screenshot from the lesson that I put in the course. I wrote this in Bali in 2015, October 2015. And I'm just going to play. I've never done this before. I'm going to play you a quick short video from the course to show you how my videos would help you prepare for this. I've literally never done. Okay, so loads of questions. I managed to just go through some of your questions, a small proportion of the questions there. So that's an example of the video from the course and how it sort of sets out. This is the most common A-level biology question ever. If I were to pick one of the most, okay, it could be enzymes, it could be antibodies, it could be a receptor protein, but is the shape of the protein like going to work or not going to work, basically, functional or non-functional? This is the most common question ever. And so that's why I really wanted to put it in this question. As I said, I wrote this in 2015. Okay, so questions were, is it worth doing questions from other exam boards? I think it was Aisha who sent me that. The new spec questions, if you've done all the past papers that you possibly can do for your exam board, do those first. If you're still hungry for more example questions, the new spec questions from the other exam boards are pretty similar. Obviously, if you get a question on the chloride shift and you're an AQA student and you're doing an OCR exam, that's just something that's not, you're going to have to use a little bit of initiative if you're using another exam board's questions. I would say off the top of my head, 70% of the questions will be relevant for you, 30% of the questions probably not relevant, and you're going to have to make that judgment call. So as long as you're confident you know what you need to know, sweet, do use the other exam questions. Are all the videos for the new spec? 100%. I wrote this course in 2015 for the new spec. None of the videos are old spec questions. Can you say it's exactly complementary? I would probably avoid saying exactly complementary because you don't need to. The only time that's going to come up if they're comparing lock and key versus induced fit. Because the lock and key says the substrate is exactly complementary to the substrate. Induced fit says they're not perfectly complementary to begin with. It forms an enzyme substrate complex, at which point it's fully complementary. So I'd avoid saying that unless it's the difference between active site and lock and key. Covalent bonds in proteins, do they exist? So the covalent bonds are, the peptide bond is a covalent bond, so yes, and also cysteine-cysteine disulfide bridges is also a covalent bond. They're the strongest internal bonding. So yes, they do exist, but only in a few spots. Is there a lesson on the AQA essay? No, not yet, but there's a web class on it, and I am going to release a video on that before the exams, before Easter, I think. They were all the ones that I wrote down. Okay, and just look at this. I'll go and find it. This is the 2017 paper. I'm just using AQA as an example. Really, it doesn't matter. I wrote the course using AQA, OCR, EdXL, and to a great extent WJEC, but I haven't written a specific WJEC course because they do optional modules, which makes my life a right pain. So how do I come out of this? I don't want to be in this anymore. What? Why am I? Okay, sweet. Okay, so now let's just have a look at this AQA paper. When was it? It was a new specification paper. It was these exams. I'm gonna have to go back to here, and it was 74012, question paper June 17. 74012, June 17. That's the mark scheme. That's the question paper. And what question number was it? I didn't write down the question number. Of course, I didn't. Yeah, okay. Okay, I already prepped it. Okay, so this is a question about some proteins, antibodies. Yeah, explain why the anti-AQP4 antibody only damages these cells. 4 marks. Question 7.1. The antibody has a specific tertiary structure. It has a binding site or a variable region that only complementary to the antigen. The antigen to this antibody is only found on nerve cells. So that's specific to this particular question, point 3. So the antibody only forms an antigen-antibody complex with these nerve cells. Okay, so let's go. This question is a 2017 question. This is my lesson plan that answers this question for 3 marks. And I wrote this in 2015. So I know when they ask these questions, how they're going to ask these questions. It's not random chance that this matches this exactly. Okay, has a specific tertiary structure, has the tertiary structure of the active site. Yeah, so tertiary structure. Binding site is complementary and antigen antibody complex. Is complementary antigen antibody complex. It is that straightforward when you know it as well as I do. So I wrote the lesson before that question and it still answers the question perfectly. Okay, so what's next? What's next? Okay, let's actually present this, shall we, as opposed to showing you that screen. Oh, we've done all of this. We've done all of this. We've done all of this. Okay, boom. What's next? Okay, so there's some A-level biology problems. How are we doing for time? That's a stopwatch. 7:10. Okay, so I'm going to ask you some more questions now. I'm going to ask you the question, if all the ultimate guide did was reduce your workload by 75%, would it be worth it? Would it be worth subscribing? So a lot of us asking you how much it is. There's a whole range of different options, starting at £9 to £39 plus VAT. Basically, most students buy the Ultimate Guide. The one I'm talking about here is the Ultimate Guide. It is £39 a month, which is, compared to a tutor, not too much. Okay, so if it reduces your workload by 75%, would it be worth it? Okay, 86% of you. So some of you obviously are going to like super valuable. That time is mega valuable these days. Okay, so what about if it were to give you an improvement of 2 grades? Would it be worth it? And last year, I put here, so last year the average of people who completed at minimum, Trav, you can tell me, was it minimum 70% of the course or was it minimum 50% of the course? I don't remember the numbers. People who completed at least 50% of the course improved by 1.7 grades. 1.7 was the average grade improvement for people who completed most of the course. Okay, so 96% of you, super interesting. Okay, nice. I mean, obviously it works. We know that it works. I mean, and if all it does is get you into your first choice university, would it be worth it? Most of you have voted. Super quick. You've all got a lot faster. Let's have a look at that. Not even so similar. I mean, yeah. Okay, so let's just. I feel like I've totally missed a section here. I haven't really told you what's. So you probably feel a little bit like this right now, I imagine. Like, oh yeah, I'm still showing you my results, aren't I? So you probably feel a little bit like information overload. I just like blasted you with heaps and heaps of content. I've now lost my questions panel. It's all going wrong today, ladies and gentlemen. It's all going bloody wrong. You went from a U to a B in January. Shannon, I might get to come back to you on that one, but yeah, okay. Thank you for letting me know. Shannon, you can tell Trav actually, or send a message or send a question exactly where you're doing it now to Trav. Would you mind turning on your microphone and just like giving a 20-second? I know you've been using the course. If you don't want to, no dramas, but just say, yeah, I don't mind. And it will just be a microphone. If you've got a microphone, that is, you might not have a microphone on your device. If you've got something you can speak into, then I'll let them hear it from you. But in fact, I think you might even be in the video that I put up later on. So maybe they're going to hear from you anyway. So you're probably going to feel like I've just blasted you with information, and to some extent that I have. I hope you found loads of it useful. But basically, with the Ultimate Guide, as I've been talking about, loads of you have been asking questions about this topic. So what do you get with it? The Ultimate Guide includes all of the biology tutorials. So there's an AS option, A2 option. The A2 package includes all the AS videos. The course is now linear. You have to know all of it. So you get all the A-level biology tutorials. You get the maths and the stats and the practicals course. So not only do you get the A-level biology tutorials, you get the practicals, maths, and the stats as well. The Ultimate Guide includes the biology tutorials, the practicals, the maths, the stats, and the exam technique course, which I've specifically put together to help you with biology exam techniques. It's such a big issue. So you also, the Ultimate Guide only gets the biology tutorials, the maths, the practicals, the stats, the exam techniques course, and it gives you the option to ask comments on the tutorials. And you get me as a personal tutor, as a digital tutor inside your computer. I then answer those comments on the classes so you can get feedback on those. It's not just videos for the Ultimate Guide. You also, with the Ultimate Guide, you get the biology, the maths, the stats, the practicals, the exam technique, the questions on the tutorials, which is not for any of the other courses. You also get 2 sets of webinars. So the live web class series are mostly finished now. I do monthly live web classes, one on each exam board. So I'll do an AQA AS, AQA A2, OCR AS, OCR A2, EdXL AS, EdXL A2, specific web classes every month, going through all the topics. Also, it's going to include the exam prep web class series. I'm going to do 9 or 10 exam web classes specifically for each exam board or relevant. So there'll be 9 that you can do. We're going to sell them separately, but like to get access to them, they're all included with the Ultimate Guide. That's going to be £90 plus VAT just for the web classes. They're all included with the Ultimate Guide. So not only do you get the biology, the maths, the stats, the practicals, the exam technique course, the questions or comments on all the tutorials, the live web class series, the exam prep web class series, you also get our improved grade money back guarantee. The way that this works is that you have to complete a minimum 90% of the course. You have to use the course. Otherwise, it's not going to do its job for you, basically. But if you complete the course and you tell us what grade you're at when you start using it, then if you don't improve by 1 full grade, we give you a complete refund. If I'm not good enough to get you 1 better grade, I don't deserve your money. Quite simply, I don't want your money if I'm not going to get you any better grades. I'm only interested in getting you better grades on the exam. So if that's the sort of thing, if you think that's fair enough, then if you don't improve and you complete our course, then you get your money back. That's how much I know that it works. So we've gone through basically a whole load of these, and Shannon, I don't know what you said because you're way off my screen now. Trav, maybe you can tell me whether Shannon said. I've now also lost the chat, so I can see what Travis is saying. Okay, Shannon says yes, and James also is cool. So let's try and do this, shall we? Let's find you in my millions of attendees. Okay, so attendees, can I search just by first name? Shannon, do you have your microphone and stuff kind of vaguely ready? I can, when I find you in my list of 120 people in this room, I can unmute you, I think. Shannon Moody. What can I do when I don't do this very often? You have to bear with me. Send message, dismiss attendee, connected via web. I can copy your email address. It's not giving me the option. I wonder if I'll try have a look for James. Where is Jay? I can't even find Jay. There's so many people in this room right now. It's also not giving me an option to, maybe I'm just going to play the video and go back to default. If I can figure out how to turn your microphones on so you can tell everyone how wonderful and amazing it is, then great. We're also going to do a competition. In fact, I'm going to tell you about the competition now because I think I skipped a step at some point. I missed the slide. So we're going to give away a free course to someone who goes to the Tailored Tutors Instagram page. It is just simply Tailored Tutors, one word, and tag an A-level biology friend in the most recent post. I think it's on it's promoting the EdXL web class for Ultimate Guide students. It's on stem cells, I think, but whatever. I can't remember what the most recent post is. Tag a friend in the most recent Tailored Tutors Instagram post and follow us if you don't already follow us. And basically that's where we give away loads of revision tips and stuff like that. It's all free kind of useful content. So do that now, and we'll pick someone out the hat at random in 10 minutes time. Someone's going to win the course in 10 minutes. Sorry, James and Shannon, it doesn't give me the option. With some people, I think it depends on what device you're using, maybe. So like there's a few, Joe and Keisha, and I get a microphone that's muted next to their name and I can unmute them, but it's not an option for either of you two. Anyway, we'll go back to the default. Whilst we're watching this, then you can go and leave your Instagram reviews. So let's go something like this. Boom. I think this in all that kind of stuff. On camera, on. Yeah, back in the room. Okay, sweet. So And I'm sure you're probably thinking like, oh, it's a shame I can't turn your microphone on, Shannon or James or anyone else who's been using the course. Anyone else who's been using the course and wants to say something to anyone else who's not using the course, I'll see if I can flick your microphone on and you can give a completely unbiased and live testimonial for me. But basically, I can imagine you sitting there, well, maybe it's not quite the same for me. And like, I'm sure you can imagine what it'd be like to have effectively a personal tutor on tap 24/7. Can you imagine what that'd be like? Can you imagine how useful it would be? Do you think your grades would be better if you did have an online source where you could basically get an answer to any question you wanted at any time of the day? And I bet you are probably thinking that, well, it's not the same for me. And I get that. But I promise you, if you'd have asked all of these people before they started using the course, they would have said exactly the same thing. But like that, you don't think it's going to work for you, and then just try it out. There is, in fact, a free trial on the website. If you want to go use it out, go check it out. So what's next? A few bits and pieces before we do some competition winners. Last chance to subscribe. What I mean by this is that we have a 3-month minimum subscription because we know that you need to use it properly. You can't just like using it in 2 days and completing the course would be super handy, I'm sure, but it's not like the long-term potentiation is what it's called in learning science. It's not the long-term learning that we really need. So there's a 3-month minimum. So when we get to less than 3 months to exams, we're going to end the subscriptions. There will be something else. I don't know exactly what that something else is going to be. It will be available, but it won't be cheaper. That's the only thing I'm going to tell you right now. Is definitely not going to be cheaper. We want to incentivize people who use it throughout the year and use it long term and actually really make a difference to their exams. It probably won't include like the money back guarantee and stuff like that won't be included. So what we're offering right now, all the biology tutorials, all the maths, all the stats, all the practical tutorials in there, the exam technique course in the ultimate guide. You can ask questions on the tutorials. You get the live web class series. I said most of those are finished already, but there's still a few left to go. Topic 7 and topic 4. And exam prep web course series, which is going to be £90 on its own if you want to buy it separately. And obviously the improved grade money back guarantee. So if you're an AS student, loads of people have been asking how much it costs. It's £29 a month plus VAT. It's 20% on top of that. We basically taking that for the government, but we charge 29 and the government is taking the rest of it, but that you will pay slightly more than 29. And the ASNA2 is £39 a month and it's unlimited, right? You can use it as much as you want, ask as many comments as you want. Some fair use policy applies. And I've said that why don't we give more than one, Trav? Why don't we say, I put there the 10th subscriber today can get a full refund. And that last time I did this, that was at 9:47 p.m. today. So let's do that. Let's say the first person and the 10th person to purchase the Ultimate Guide subscription, start a subscription today, gets it free. You have to buy it normally, and we'll just contact you and then just give you a full refund once you've bought the course. If you've bought the course already, then there's other competitions, and we're just about to do the draw for the Instagram and the most engaged student. So in fact, Trav, can you pick somebody who's been super duper engaged, and we will message them to make sure that they know. And last but not least, I have some questions. I'll try and pick the most common ones from here. So your biology questions about the course, all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, the Instagram giveaway we'll do in just a few minutes. So I will open my Instagram account and see who's commented and on the most recent. Oh, it was tag a friend, wasn't it? That's what I was doing. If you do have any general questions beyond this, after today, then the email address, Travis will be answering your emails at office@taylortutors.co.uk. There's also a live chat on the website, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Friday. Come and log on, have a chat. You've got ask us any questions if you're not sure about anything on there. So you've got, okay, 5 minutes. Nearly 25 past 7, not doing too badly. Okay, so if this is going to be insane, okay, so meiosis. Okay, let's go. Okay, if your first name that you've logged in today, I'm now using your iPhone too. Okay, I'll see if that's made a difference, Shannon. I see that you've made that comment that you're on your iPhone as well. It might help. Okay, if your first name begins A to N, first half of the alphabet, you can send me a question right now because I'm good. Otherwise, I have like 50 questions on a screen and it's all gone and then I can't literally read the questions, let alone answer them. I'll have a look and see whether Shannon has a microphone next to her name. Sabrina, Sarah, Sam, Sarah, Sahar. What is SH? You do, Shannon, now have a microphone next to your name. Okay, wonderful. Oh, you just disappeared. I think it's going to work. Connect to audio. I can unmute you. Okay, so I won't do it right now. I'll answer a few questions, Shannon. In fact, let's do it because otherwise I'm going to get sidetracked with questions. So Shannon, let me know if you're ready and I can unmute you and I'll maybe just ask you a couple of questions. Nothing too stressful. I'm not going to put you on the spot too much, but I'll ask you some questions. Or if you want, you can just tell students what it's like just using the course as a paid user. Let me know when you're ready and then I will give this a try. I've never done this before, so rolling the dice a little bit here. Okay. Let's just go microphone. I don't know. I don't know if I can turn your camera on, so I'll turn your microphone on. So I'll just say hello. Unmute Shannon Moody. Shannon, can you say something? See if we can hear.
Hello.
Hello, Shannon. It's working. Hurrah! Technology is I've been having issues with my presentation all morning. I put this together. If I'm perfectly honest with you, I was like a student. I finished this last night quite late in the wee small hours. So there was a few bits and bobs with the presentation that didn't work quite the way that I wanted. Yeah, I'm a student through and through. Okay, so Shannon, how long have you been using the Ultimate Guide or the tool?
Wow, I started using it January last year after I got a U in my mock exam.
Okay, and your general experiences then. So talk me through how you've used it and tell the others what has been the difference of using it versus not using it.
I got a U in my January mock exam. I didn't really hit any key points of the questions. I was oh, so confident going in, oh yeah, I really know what I'm doing. And I came out with a U. And then my teachers actually said to me, they were like, there's no way you're going to get a D by the end of June 2017. And I came out of my AS exams with a B.
Sweet.
And then I started using the course again throughout the last few months, and I did my January mock.
Did the course help you get that B, or was that other work that you were doing as well? Did you get a tutor, or?
I worked my arse off on this course, literally videos, past paper questions, followed the ultimate guide to kind of the lines, really, everything that I was advised to do, I did. There's also that little fire in my belly. I was like, I'm going to prove them wrong. They're not going to let me get a D.
One of the slides, in fact, one of the slides I prepared was actually a promise me you won't say I told you so to your teachers. That was a slide that I can't remember. It was supposed to be in the presentation. That was one of the cock-ups from today. Anything else that you'd like to add to value for money? I mean, it's quite expensive. I know it's quite expensive, but I had two choices when I was creating this. I had one choice was to keep on teaching, keep on tutoring, do it as lightweight, sell as many copies as I could for as cheap as price as I could, and not afford to give up my day job, or I could charge make a bigger investment, but I could then commit myself to it full time. And I know it's quite expensive. How is it from your perspective, from a value for money perspective?
It's great. I mean, it's a lot cheaper than having a personal tutor. You get all the videos you need. You can access it whenever you want, literally whenever you need it. And obviously, it's really easy to contact you as well, considering if you have the ultimate guide, it's that much easier to be actually oh, hi Rich, I've got a question about this, or could you help me with this query? And you're on it, or the team is on it. You can communicate with me quite easily, and I can communicate all my problems as well.
Awesome.
My lack of problems.
Excellent. Well, we're kind of thanks, Shannon. That was totally awesome, and thanks for just putting you on the spot like that. You absolute superstar. I hope you found today useful. I will send you a lovely email to say thank you afterwards.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, sweet. So now that that's out of the way, I'm amazed that worked. It was relatively straightforward in the end. Thanks, Shannon, for all your help there and putting an extra device on. Super nice of you. Okay, so questions. Let's pick some of these. I'm going to just pick the ones that I can. Okay. Can you still receive the PDF? Yeah, we're going to send the if you're at the question screen, we're basically we'll be sending out a PDF of the questions and analysis, all that kind of stuff that we did earlier. Okay, so proto-oncogenes is one suggestion. Can you tag friends to win? Okay, so we've actually hit half past, so let's pick the Instagram winner right now. Let me pull my phone open and see. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to count how many people qualify. I'm going to get Trav to pick a number between 1 and 10. I'm going to get you guys to pick a number between 1 and the total number of people who have done it. So let me find out how many. Oh, okay. So I was wrong about the most recent post, unless it's gone out in like the last 2 seconds, in which case that would be highly inconvenient. I don't use Instagram myself. I'm so useless. I might have to phone my social media, the guy who does all my posts. Where's everyone's comments? I'm sure that there's been plenty. I've got notifications up there. Notifications there. Yeah, I'm definitely okay. So yeah, rather inconveniently, we just made a post about. So there, you split over 2. I'm not going to penalize you for that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9. That's the same person. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So if you don't more than once, I'm not counting you if you don't more than once, you get 1, 15, 16, 17, 18. Well, there's loads of you. Okay, 36. Like nearly all of you. Like I'm in 70. Okay, 73. Okay, so you guys, everyone now send me a number between 1 and 73. I'm going to pick Trav to tell me a number between 1 and 10. Trav, you send me a number between 1 and 10, Trav. So you guys pick a number between 1 and 73. If you did it immediately, you probably want to pick a low number. If you did it right at the last minute, you probably want to pick a high number. Trav's given me number 3. Okay, so the third person to send me a number was Hodan Rusa, and you said number 27. So the 27th person to fill these conditions. Okay, I've got to go up from the bottom because the first person was the last person on this. Okay, so 27 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. This is a bit slow. Sorry, this could be I could have built a computer program and done this for me. 18, 19, same person. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 27. Afsa Hussein, I'm going to comment on your comment right now. Reply, you're the winner. Afsa Hussein, I'm going to put email office@tailoredtutors.co.uk and we'll fix you up. We'll just, if you don't have an account already, we'll set you up with one. Instagram on Trav, do you want to tell me who? I know there's hundreds of people in here, and I know you've all been awesome today, guys. You've been loads and loads of comments, loads and loads of stuff. I'm going to do your questions in a second. Trav, out of the people who've been super well engaged and motivated today, pick me a name. Pick me a name. I know it's almost impossible. You've got like 120 people to choose from. Most people are still here, and now I'm going to do some questions. Aisha Sadiq. Yeah, is that? I'm gonna, let's put it here. How can I send it to all of you? Let's send that to entire audience, shall we? Boom. Oh no, it needs to be in a questions panel. That doesn't work. You might see a comment somewhere. Anyway, yeah, Aisha Sadiq, Siddiqah. I'm not sure how you pronounce your surname. We'll find your email address from the attendees when you created your account for the webinar. We'll send you an email. Congratulations! You also get the ultimate guide for free. Okay, so let's do some explain meiosis. Okay, super important things in meiosis. The common questions that come up with this all the time are how does it lead to variation? Why do we do meiosis? Well, we do it to shuffle up the genes. And so we're going to go from a diploid cell that's got 2 copies of each chromosome. They're homologous pairs. One comes from your mum, one comes from your dad. And we can't, when we go through random fertilization, when we fertilize an egg, you're going to join 2 different cells together. So if we don't do meiosis, we just do mitosis and we join this cell with this cell, we go from 46 chromosomes plus 46 chromosomes, and then we're going to have, 92 chromosomes. We're going to double the amount of DNA every single time. So we need to half the DNA so that when we fuse 2 cells together, we go back to the full DNA, or the full number of pairs of chromosomes. So the importance of it is that we produce a haploid cell that has half the number of chromosomes. That's the definition of haploid, half the number of the diploid number, basically, 1 of each homologous pair. Now, the questions on meiosis that you're going to get most commonly asked is, how does this cause genetic variation? There's 2 ways that can happen. First is during crossing over. That's where the homologous chromosomes line up. They cross over their tails of their chromatids and they literally swap. The words that you need to say is crossing over, 1 mark, causes a new combination of alleles. You're shuffling the cards. You are creating a new combination. You're not making new alleles, but you've got a new combination of alleles, just as if you've got a playing card deck and you shuffle them. You've got the same cards, but they're arranged differently. So a new combination of alleles crossing over. Second mark we're going to get is for independent assortment or independent segregation, depending on your personal choice. You can use both for all exam boards. And that causes a new combination of chromosomes. So that determines, is it going to be my mum's chromosome that I've inherited or my dad's chromosome I've inherited? It's random whether they line up on one side of the cell or the other. So crossing over causes a new combination of chromosomes. Sorry, I got that wrong. Crossing over, new combination of alleles. Independent assortment, new combination of chromosomes. They are the key terms. They are the sentences that you need to use on the exam to get the marks on how does meiosis contribute to creating genetic variation. Okay, how much extra reading should you do? Great question. If I was a student, I would ideally just use my course, and then there will be a little bit of filling in around the gaps, but wider reading outside the specification content, basically none. I wouldn't bother. Yes, in the AQA essay, there is 2 marks available for outside the spec reading, or the top band, I think it's 2 or 3 marks. 3 marks out of 3 exam papers, it's not worth it. It is not worth studying that extra content for. I would basically not read around the subject. You will need multiple sources, even if you have the ultimate guide. I would recommend not burning your textbook once in a while and just checking, just filling in the gaps. It's going to give you, once you've studied it and you know what you need to know for the exam, it's nice to have a more holistic, well-rounded view, a better understanding. But what you need to know for the exam will be in the course. And I wouldn't spend any time learning stuff that's not going to specifically be in the course. Thanks, Amy, today. Thanks for your time. If you don't have a social media account, then you can't win the Instagram competition, unfortunately. But there's you could always yeah, I'm sorry that let's do biology questions. I wanna do more biology questions. How to approach practical questions. Okay, so there's the practical questions that they set the guidelines for what you want to achieve in the practical. It might be an enzyme controlled reaction. So this could be temperature, your variable, as your independent variable. It could be time. It could be pH. It could be many things. So they can't ask you a specific question about that unless it's relating to the theory that's in the course. So the practicals are going to nearly always be asking you for the general. Every school can do a different practical on enzyme substrate. You might use catalase, you might use maltase, you might use like dehydrogenase, you might use different enzymes. So they can't ask you specifics. So the key with the practicals is understanding the principles that are going to affect that outcome. Also, a lot of the practical work is going to be sample size, analyzing the experiment. Have they done a statistical test? Did they choose their surveys at random? Like, these are going to be the things that get examined in the practical level of the course. They're not going to say, what's the next step in this colorimetry process? They won't go into those details because every school would have done it differently. You need to know the principles and you need to know the limitations of how practicals and investigating work happens. being able to go through so much exam content, use those mark schemes. Use the mark schemes to tell you the exact level of detail that you need to know for the exam. So if you don't have the course, then you're going to have to manually go through the papers, download them, search them. You can do it. That's what I used to do. Yeah, just that's what you're going to have to do. The level of detail that you need to know is in the past papers, in the mark schemes. And the long answer questions, remember, in the mark schemes are going to give you those kind of like, if you can find a 5-mark question on, you're having trouble with speciation. There's the classic speciation. You can say variation exists in the population due to random mutation. The populations, this is allopatric speciation. Populations are separated geographically or reproductively isolated. There is different environmental conditions. There's differential reproductive success, or some traits are inherited differently in each of the different populations, and this happens over many generations until the species are so different they can't interbreed to produce fertile offspring. Like, that's the question. 6 bullet points, bang, 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 bang. You'll find those questions time and time and time again in those past papers. So use the past paper mark schemes to give you summary notes for the important things. I produced a document called the cheat sheet. We're releasing the A2 cheat sheet later this year. It's got all of those questions on it. Okay, essay question for AQA paper 3. Okay, don't get hung up too much on outside the content spec. It's obviously AQA specific, so I'm going to be really quick on this one. Plan your answer, practice planning your answers in advance. You got every paragraph must link to the question. You need to cover at least minimum 4 different topics in the content of the essay, because you can't get more than a grade level 4 answer without more than 3 topics. It's all got to be A-level standard. There's going to be a full video on how to prepare for that. So I'm also going to do, if you just want the live web classes, I'm doing a full web class for AQA students on the essay. Mass transport in plants. So you've got mass transport plants, you've got the xylem and the phloem. The xylem contains minerals and water. It's up only. So you get transpiration, evaporation through the stomata, and you're getting low pressure. Your water's being sucked out the top by evaporation. That creates low pressure here. You got the xylem as a column like a straw, so it's being literally sucked because there's low pressure at the top. It's sucking water up, and because of the cohesion tension theory, water is going to stay in a continuum column and go up the xylem. So that's how water gets up there. Translocation is going to be involving the phloem. The phloem contains sugars and salts, everything else that isn't water and minerals. It has some water in it as well. But what happens here, the companion cells are going to pump usually sucrose into the phloem at the top. This is called the source, where you're making your carbohydrates, and where the light is happening with the leaves. You make lots of sucrose, you pump it, active transport, into the phloem. So that gives a very negative water potential. So loads of water rushes into the phloem by osmosis from the xylem and from other surrounding tissues, and that then you've got loads of water in there. It's like really turgid. It's high pressure. That high pressure forces the liquid down the plant, so that all the nutrients that you're making in photosynthesis get squeezed down the plant to the sink where it's being used, and then it's going to be either used for respiration, or you're going to make potato tubers. You're going to store that sucrose in another form that's non-soluble, so that it doesn't affect the water potential. Because obviously, if it's soluble, it's going to affect the water potential at the screw around osmosis. So that's why you want to store the glucose as starch, which is non-soluble. That's basically translocation. In a second, are you able, once you take the program, are you able to email for help? Okay, so Kiki, is it KK or KK? If you have the ultimate guide, you can ask comments on the tutorials. We don't answer biology questions in the email inbox. So the video will be on translocation. And then you can, if you've got questions about translocation, the comments are underneath, but only for ultimate guide users only. It's not for the free trial users, not for the starter, not for the essential. Okay, so what are the differences between the packages, Sarah? So starter is biology videos only. That's it. No money back guarantee. Essential is biology, the videos, the maths, the stats, the practical videos, but no comments, no web classes, and you does include the money back guarantee, but you don't get any extra help. It's just videos, basically. Ultimate Guide is the videos, all the comments, all the web classes, the free invites to everything. Basically, if an Ultimate Guide subscriber, you get everything we do. I become your little personal tutor inside the computer. On the 9 steps when analyzing the question, Do you do that before moving on to the next? Yeah, so I'd be using that. I'd print that out and have that next to my desk so that when I'm doing past paper questions, I would do that, those stages every single time. I would do those stages to train yourself from now until June or May when your exams are, if AS or exams start in May, A2 exams start in June, then practice this. You want to be practicing, try and do a past paper question once a week. I know it's a bit of extra work, but this is the key. Immunity is a massive topic. Amina, can you give me a specific part of immunity? I was like phagocytosis. The phagocyte recognizes the antigen on the pathogen surface as being foreign. It engulfs the pathogen into a phagocytic vacuole. Lysosomes fuse with the vacuole and release lysozymes, which are enzymes which dissolve the pathogen. The pathogen's antigens are then presented on the surface of the pathogen. We call it an antigen-presenting cell. The antigens that are presented on the surface of the phagocyte, along with the phagocyte's own, it's like a double lock, for that will activate once you've got the pathogen's antigen and the phagocyte antigen next to each other. That's going to activate the T cells, the T lymphocytes. The T lymphocytes, there's a few different types. You've got T killer cells, which are going to go cell-to-cell combat. They're basically going to go and fight the pathogens themselves, and that's called the cellular response. The other type of T cells called T helper cells, T helper lymphocytes. They're going to activate the B cells. So the B cells are then going to produce, they're going to find the antibody that's complementary to the pathogen's antigen, and it's then going to go through clonal selection, clonal expansion, make many copies of itself, plasma cells. These plasma cells are only going to be the type of B cell that's exactly going to make the antibody that's complementary to the pathogen's antigen. Lots of key terms in here, I'm going very quickly, but then you're going to pump out millions of copies of those plasma cells, are going to make millions of copies of the antibodies. The antibodies are going to float around in the bloodstream, and it's the antibody that's going to attach to the pathogen's antigen. It's not a cell to cell. An antigen is a protein. So we call this the humoral response. Why humor? The Victorians used to say the body had 4 humors: black bile, yellow bile, blood, and something else. But humors means like body fluid, basically, is what humor means. So the antigens travel in the bloodstream. They're not a cell. So we call that the humoral response because it travels, basically anything to do with antibodies in fighting pathogens is the humoral response. That's like the immunology section in 30 seconds. When is it best to start doing past papers? Probably as early as possible, but let's be realistic. You're not going to be doing 10 past papers a week now. I would, when using my course, I'd do a section and find a past paper question on that topic and then do that question. I would be phasing in past papers certainly from Easter, ideally before Easter, but from, let's say, 1st of April, you want to be thinking about past papers, at least 1 past paper a week from April through to your exams, for sure. Do it and mark it. There's a really important section I'm going to do in my live web classes about how to mark your past papers to get the most out of them. Loop of Henle, homeostasis, so kidney, do all the exam boards do it? I'm not sure all the exam boards do it, so I'll be super duper quick. So OCR do it for sure. AQA, I don't think it's in the EdXL spec off the top of my head. So loop of Henle, you've got the descending limb and the ascending limb. It goes into the medulla. The medulla is the bottom part of the kidney, super salty, really concentrated. Sodium ions, chloride ions, you name it, it's in there. So, okay, so the sodium and the potassium is pumped out of the lumen of the nephron to create this saltiness around it. The ascending limb so you've got like a U-bend, down bit and an up bit. The ascending, the up bit, is impermeable to water. So water can't go back in by osmosis. So water comes out by osmosis in the descending limb, which makes the urine more concentrated. You're losing the water, all the other bits are staying in there. And then on the ascending limb, it's impermeable to water. And so you reabsorb the chlorine and the nitrogen, the bits that you need to be in the urine, but water can't follow because that bit of the ascending limb is impermeable to water. Check out, I think there might be one of my free videos on YouTube on the loop of Henle, possibly in the OCR course. Would it be enough to revise without any other means, just using the TT videos? Yeah, I'd never say just use one source, but yes, 99% of your work in the course, 1% of your time filling in with your class notes and just checking out the textbook. But 99%, yeah, the videos are everything you need to know and nothing that you don't. Standard deviation equation, no, they often write the standard deviation question as n-1 as opposed to divided by n. It's a bit of a technical one. there are different ways of doing standard deviation. Same, yeah, so be careful. Be careful if you're using your calculator to do standard deviation, because it might be set to the maths mode and not in biology stats. So again, there's information. Check out the equation that's in the specification for your, it's all the same for all the specifications, biology, OCR, AQA, EdXL, they all use the same one, but it might not be the same as your maths A-level spec. Okay, what have we got? Would I recommend doing past paper questions by topic or just past papers? By topic if you can. If anyone's got an awesome source of past paper questions by topic, I'd love them. I'm building some myself. They take bloody ages. I'm super busy. If you've got any awesome question packs, send them to me. If I can use them, I will. I'll put them public to the course. How to study a topic you hate. Short chunks. Okay, what I would do on a topic that I would hate, I would sit down at my desk. I would set a timer for 1 hour. And I would write down one sentence. Write it. Don't think it. Write it. I will write notes on these videos or this textbook and answer these 3 questions. And I'd write that down. I'd set my timer for 1 hour, and I would do no distractions, no Facebook, no phone, put everything away. I'd only have the resources I need there and then, right then. And I would sit down and I would do those questions. I would do what I've written on that page, and then switch off everything else. And then you'll do an hour, and that hour will actually go by quite quickly. If you have the temptation of picking up your mobile, you will, and that will drag on, and then you won't learn it, and then it's just a never-ending cycle of doom. So set yourself one specific, read and write notes on this topic, do past paper questions on this topic, watch 3 videos and write notes on these 3 videos. Give yourself a specific target and go and do it. I'm nearly at 2 hours. I've finished my pint of water. Do one more. Save your exams. Well, if I don't, then you don't pay me anything. There's nothing, you can't say too much fairer than that. Does the DNA base have uracil? No, uracil is only in RNA. That was a quick one. I'll do another one. Let's do a biology one. Quickly go through the kidney. The kidney's quite... What is the ELISA test? That's AQA students only. I'm not going to go into the ELISA test. Should you do past papers in exam conditions? Typically, yeah. But, I mean, not totally essential. But, like, towards the exams, yes. For using them for studying from, not that essential. When we get to, like, April and May, you want to be doing, like, past paper, like timed paper, exam conditions, and actually do a whole range of paper questions. But to begin with, for now, let's do past paper questions that are on the topics you've just revised, so you can kind of figure out what's going on. Chromatids, Nadia, what do you say? Okay, so that's a good question, Nadia, about learning in general. She asked about my course, but like once you've done a topic, how should I revise those notes after weeks if I've forgotten them? Should I rewatch the videos? There's a really powerful learning technique called a lightner system or a spaced repetition. So what you could do, once you've written out your notes on that topic, you could maybe set yourself some like flashcards. You maybe make some flashcard equivalents of them, breaking down. We actually, the syndicate newsletter that we sent out to students 2 months ago had how to make really effective flashcards as one of the study tips that we give out to our free students. So this has basically, you've got a box. Let's say it's an everyday. Let's not do it every day. It's not realistic. Let's say you've got a once a week box, you've got a once a month box, and you've got once a term box. Your once a week box, everything starts in the once a week box. In the once a week box, you go through it and you test yourself on each of these things. If you get them wrong, they stay in the once a week box. If you get them right, they go to the once a month box. And then every 4th week, obviously, you do the once a week box and you do the once a month box. And if you get them right in the once a month box, if you still remember them a month later, they go into the once a term box. And if you get them wrong, they go back to the first box, the once a week box. So you can have an every day, you can have a every other day, and you can have a once a week. It depends on what you're learning. If it was like vocabulary for an English test or something, then you might want to do every day, every other day, and then once a week, and same system. But if you get it wrong, it goes back to the beginning. If you get it right, it moves on to the next box. So you practice the things you don't remember more often than the things you do remember. Okay. I'm pooped. I've got 12% battery. It's nearly 8 o'clock. You're all tired. Someone's just reminded me about the first person and the 10th person to buy it. I wonder how I can. Okay, we'll contact you by email. I've got no way of knowing. The first person who will have bought the course from when I said that, which was basically probably about half an hour ago, we'll contact and give you a refund. So yeah, that will be done through the course. As I said last time, the 10th person, I think was 9. What did I say? 9:47. It was around between 9:30 and 10 p.m. was the 10th person, and the 10th person can get free as well. So good luck. Good luck being a random 10th person. Congratulations to all the competition winners, to Aisha Sadiq, and who won the Instagram? I tagged them on Instagram. Yeah, if you do have any questions, we're on the chat. Let me know. There's going to be a short feedback form at the end of this. Let me know how useful you found it. If you thought it was awesome, let me know. If you didn't think it was awesome, let me know. Check out the Facebook and the YouTube, and there's a free trial on the website. If you want to try it before you buy it, try it out, check it out. Watch the videos, take some notes, do some past paper questions afterwards, because you will see, once you've done the past paper questions, how well the videos relate. I've written them all to go to the exam questions. So try the free trial. That's what it is. I hope you like it. Hope you found it interesting. See you next time. Bye.